A warm welcome to Jean-David Malo, Director of the European Innovation Council Task Force at the European Commission. Jean-David, great to have you with us. Please tell us about the European Innovation Council and how to bring breakthrough innovation to the market.
Good afternoon. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me, and thanks a lot to the organizer of this Climate Policy Forum. Big hello also to MEP Eva Kaili, always a pleasure to speak right after her on a topic which is, of course, at the heart of our preoccupation today. You know, the result of the COVID-19 health crisis is very painful in terms of economic downturn. We estimate that for Europe, this downturn will reach around 7.5% of our GDP, so a situation which is much more worse than what we have expected during the financial crisis in 2009. And in terms of efforts that are needed to be done regarding additional public and private investment to return to a sustainable recovery rather soon, it is considered that we would need at least something like 1.5 trillion euro of investment. So something enormous, but a huge type of efforts that by definition must be targeted. And for Europe to emerge stronger after this crisis, we need to direct these investments towards game-changing innovation that are creating a sustainable, to take the term used by MEP Eva Kaili, a sustainable and human-centric digital future. It's absolutely vital, in fact, to use the situation we are facing in order to emerge stronger and to be ready for the future competition that is in front of us. So you know that very recently, on the 27th of May, the Commission has adopted a very impressive large-scale recovery package with very sizable policy and funding boost to research and innovation that rest on two blocks globally. First, the next generation EU with an instrument with not less than 750 billion euro from fresh financing from the financial markets. And second, a reinforced long-term EU budget for 2021-2027. So this package makes clear that 25% of the EU budget will be spent on climate, and that the very substantial additional funding which is proposed for Horizon Europe, which is around 13.5 billion euro, shall drive Europe's shift towards clean, circular, competitive and climate neutral economy. And one of the main initiatives which is expected to benefit from this increased budget under Horizon Europe is the European Innovation Council, this new body that we are piloting now for 1.5 years, and which has a purpose to support visionary researchers, visionary entrepreneurs, so innovators in a single word, which have the ambition to realize their ventures, and where we would like to provide them with the necessary support to turn their ideas into reality and to bring, therefore, game-changing green and digital solutions for the market and for our society. So the EIC, which our Director General in the previous interview rightly called as the EU Unicorn Factory, as this unique funding instrument, which is combining, in fact, two different dimensions. The first one has a purpose to invest where we remain very strong in Europe, which is this capacity to generate new emerging technologies. I mean, we are still in a number of domains in Europe leaders in this capacity to create new knowledge, create new technologies that may have an impact on the future. But the EIC has also the ambition to tackle a very important weakness of the Union, which is its capacity to transform this knowledge into innovation and therefore into new enterprise, new companies, jobs, growth, and as a consequence, a better situation of life for our citizens. And this is the second leg of the EIC, which is called the EIC Accelerator. The EIC Accelerator is the first ever pan-European instrument which is combining, as you said, different type of instruments, not only grants, but also blended finance. And why do you think that we have to provide blended finance, which is a combination between grant and equity investments? Why do you think we believe it's important to provide this kind of financing to startups and SMEs that are deep tech oriented? Because obviously today, and from the two last decades, the market is not providing this type of support to very risky ideas, very risky innovators. So we have tested for years other ways to stimulate notably the private sector, but the risk is too high, in fact, for this kind of investors. But by not providing this type of support, we are in fact losing a number of opportunities that nevertheless exist. So in a nutshell, the ambition of the EIC is to be something similar, I'm not saying identical, but similar to what you can find in the United States, like, for example, DARPA, or something that I prefer to compare, which is ARPA-E, and where the EIC has the ambition to provide new type of support for breakthrough and game-changing technologies, build upon Europe's leading role in many scientific disciplines, from clean energy and climate change mitigation to quantum technologies. Now, you have noted, I'm sure, that we have already launched, in fact, a pilot of the EIC, and we have demonstrated in the last weeks and months that this instrument is very agile, very responsive, and very flexible. And I just want to take two examples. The first one is that we have been able, in a couple of weeks, to launch a specific call in order to support very promising startups and SMEs that are dealing with COVID-related activities. And as a consequence of this, we have identified not less than 36 startups and SMEs, including coming from Israel, that are working on the COVID-related issues on treatment, diagnostic, or vaccines. But also for preparing the future, we have launched a specific Green Deal call, which had a deadline on the 19th of May, with a very substantial budget of 300 million euro, where our intention is to support companies that are working in areas that are fitting with the 8 priorities of the Green Deal. And we will be able, in the course of July, to announce to announce in the coming in the middle of July the result of this call. It's very important that the EIC is continuing to have this two-dimensional bottom-up approach to harvest any emerging innovation that exists, but also a top-down approach where we could deliver even more quickly the policy priorities of the Union. And this was the rationale for what we have launched recently. Allow me to conclude by saying that the EIC is, of course, a very powerful instrument for the future, but that this cannot be will not be enough, and that we need to install the EIC within the innovation ecosystem. And this is the reason why we have already launched a number of strong strategies and cooperation with natural partners like the EIT in particular and its KICs, as well as we are exploring possibility of partnership with the European Research Council, as well as with national and regional innovation agency. So to conclude, As you can see, and as it was already mentioned previously by previous speakers, Europe is ready to step back, to emerge stronger out of this pandemic. We have the potential to become world innovation leaders again, and you can count on us to be part of this new way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jean-David.